Yes, we did.
We did hit the go live button?
Now. All right, so everybody can catch up on that, I guess.
Are we live or?
We are now.
We weren't before?
The YouTube go live button. So, and I can't remember if it was still, if all that stuff that we at the beginning is there or not. And people just have to go back. I'm guessing not.
Nope. So we just went live.
Yay.
Okay. So
anyway, hey everybody.
Hey, welcome everybody. I'm going to time travel and pretend like it was 8 minutes ago. So I want to welcome everybody to our twice.
Oh my gosh, it's like Groundhog's Day.
A twice a week podcast, which is addition through distraction. And I was thinking, Randy, I'm pretending this is the first time I've ever said it. Randy, it just occurred to me right this very moment that that it's like if you were sitting at the nerd lunch table, and also if you stayed late after school to work in the art room. It's kind of like those things mashed together. Do you have a comment to that?
Well, you said it a little differently before. I think it's
I probably
you would have
did.
said it a little differently, in which case I would have had a comment.
All right. So anyways, that's a shame. We had some, thought we had a wonderful exchange there, Randy. So what I would like to do is I would like to take care of some of the business part of it to remind everybody that one, God damn, do we stick landings, especially when they're at the beginning. Please, everybody, stop what you're doing. Hit that like button. Unlike us, re-like us if you already like us.
That's not thing. Don't do that.
It's that important. And then also, please hit the subscribe button. And YouTube, when you do that, it gives you a super secret icon. And so if you want to be super secret, when you click the subscribe button, it has a little bell icon. And if you click that, you will hear the what sounds like church bells ringing on a Sunday morn. And now that's actually a wondrous town crier's bell, which is not to be confused with that bell, which is similar but completely different, that we use to summon the undersea captain who comes and picks us and takes us topside when we need to go topside. And Randy, it did occur to me that Captain Crustaceous, it's not the USS Herkimer that is his undersea vessel, because it's not USS. He does not fly under a country's flag, and therefore it makes him a pirate. R. That's about as crusty as actually he gets. Is just he'll give you an R every now and again because he likes.
He's unaffiliated.
But yeah,
like Robin-esque.
Yeah,
Robin Hood-esque.
Yeah, there you go. I was thinking maybe like a Dread Pirate Roberts. It might be a chaotic neutral, or a chaotic lawful pirate. I'm trying to think who else is maybe. So
it's like everybody's scared of him, and you're terrified if you ever are. I was like taken avast by him. That's not what I meant.
Did you mean
if you ever docked by? No, that's not.
Oh, sorry, I can't get my mind out of the poop deck, Randy.
If you ever plundered, but no, damn.
Pirates say like booty, right? They plunder that booty. Oh, they do.
But so if he tried to board your vessel, oh my god!
Wow, Randy, you are. So
then you would just be like, he'd be like, "Arr!" and you'd be like, "Oh no!" and then you'd be like, "Don't take us over." And he'd be like, "As you wish." That was really sad.
Randy, I just got a message from Captain Krusty. And he says, although he appreciates all the various and sundry lifestyles that exist, he wished that you could make his adventures sound a little less homoerotic. But
I can't help it. It just happens.
Well, when you got a gift, right? I mean, God didn't give you a gift to hide it. He doesn't want you to take that you don't take a lamp and put it underneath a bushel. Bible says to let your light shine.
As you wish.
So as you wish. So thank you for that. Yeah, but then that did remind me. I was thinking about good captains, and I was thinking about good Captain Jack, and that kind of led us to a brief conversation that I think that we could probably somewhat easily revisit.
Yes.
About Doctor Who.
Indeed.
Because Captain Jack had made an appearance here recently in Doctor Who, and that coincided with the appearance of a potentially new Doctor, which
a nude Doctor?
Well, on Fridays I go painting in the nude. That's a callback, and I was wrong. I think I said Sunday I go painting in the nude when I cited those lyrics to you, Randy, from a Queen album.
You act like you don't do it on both days.
Well, I got it confused because Sundays is my preferred day. But I think that Freddie was saying on Fridays. But, he's saying it in 12 octaves higher than, a normal speaking voice. I think it's barely to where, if he would go one octave higher, I think only dolphins could understand what he was saying. And I love Freddie Mercury.
Now, what kind of painting is that? Is that finger painting, body painting?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Finger painting. Wow, interesting. But I don't want to get too far away from the good doctor. And so what we were saying was with the new doctor that they're mentioning, I was going to tell you the erroneous ideas that I had, and you were going to help correct my ways. And we were encouraging everybody to also do their own fact finding.
Indeed.
So, Randy, you got a confirmation that we were live, right? I did get a confirmation that we were live.
Watching the stream, I'll go ahead and listen to the audio.
So I'm going to talk the doctor
befuddled
stuff
today.
Say what?
I haven't listened to the audio yet. I'm a bit befuddled today.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah, we were
a bit of a down day.
I'm sorry, brother. You fell on dark days.
Yeah, I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I guess.
I
think I hadn't been sleeping well, so usually, but I think for some reason it was particularly unrestful last night. So
fitful sleep, as they say.
Some unpleasant dreams as well. I just woke up and was like, ugh. So, persevering.
Sally forth.
I feel better now that I'm here and hanging out with you, brother.
I feel better now that you're here as well. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you, my friend.
And the audio does sound good. So
okay, awesome. Awesome like a possum. So, Randy, I'm going to grab some things here that I can work in front of me while we continue to talk. But we were talking about Doctor Who. Yep. So, since I'm going to be, I'll discuss this part real quick, and then I will, I'll venture forth. Randy, did I show you? I don't think I have our Grando Mini. I got him.
Yeah, because we were looking at, that's the one where the face and the horns weren't on at one point, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't know if I'd showed him fully. So next up, we'll be painting him.
That's crazy.
But and also, I mean, I don't know if I ever showed you that. I remember we put some metal paint on this guy, and it's hard to see on the camera, but it did give him a little metallic shimmer. I think I might do some more with that.
Nice. But
I really like this. Like I said, it was a big step up from our bouillon cube that we had originally started with. But back to the good doctor, though. So my understanding was that they had revealed a future doctor in an episode, like she came in and out, and
that she would be black.
And that she would be black. She's a black female. And like Captain Jack, I think kind of like an in and out sort of scenario, although, with Captain Jack, it can be completely different.
He's always in and out.
It's going to show you his R face.
Theremin.
You know what he's saying. R. You know what he's saying? So that with the article, I'd read a couple of things, and I thought one of them, after that was first announced, it was saying that she wasn't just a one episode sort of thing. And you were saying that you thought maybe it's had to do with. Go ahead, you can.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was looking on the BBC.com website, I believe, and so it was talking. It showed a picture of her, and it was basically saying that she's definitely the Doctor, but she and the current Doctor meet and they don't recognize each other as the Doctor. They're both kind of thrown when the other introduces themselves as the Doctor, I guess.
Right. Which often happens.
So they're like, I don't know, like, is it a past Doctor? Is it a future Doctor? It's unclear as to exactly what's going on there. Seems a bit mysterious. And that it's frequently said that Doctor Who questions will be answered, but they may just lead to more questions. So definitely an air of mystery. And that potentially, I believe it said that it would be visited upon during the season. So maybe it's a story arc within this season, as opposed to the next Doctor.
Gotcha.
And you said that Jodie Whittaker had responded. And
and she said that the nature of this role was that these shoes get replaced, but she's still in these shoes for right now, and she's holding on to them. So I enjoyed that she was celebrating her position in the role, and so she was indicating that she will be returning as the Doctor, at least for the next season, it would appear. So that's cool too. But yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what happens. I really would have loved to have Idris Elba be a Doctor, but I want Idris Elba to be anything.
I think it'd be too much in a way. Like he would kind of overshadow it in a way. Like it's nice when you have a less known person.
I could see that.
You don't have any expectations of them. They get to experience themselves. They don't.
Then when
you're not comparing them to what they've done before. Kind of thing.
Yeah. No.
Or coloring the Doctor by their character that you've seen develop elsewhere.
Yeah. Although one of the Doctors was a character in an earlier episode, so
yeah.
Peter Capaldi.
But like, who remembered that except people who were like really into following it.
Who are the kind of people that watch Doctor Who? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, nerds. I'm allowed to say that because I am one. And nerds, and by definition, tend to obsess on minutia.
That happens a lot more than you would know too, because a lot of the times they'll show up as aliens.
Well,
like Cybermen, and you don't know.
Well, yeah, or like Martha was in the episode before she became Martha. She was at the end of like the season before.
Yeah, and Clara, I think, was as well.
Clara was, and then Amy.
And that's throughout.
Amy was a character. She was one of the painted face people in, I think, in Pompeii.
Yeah.
The Pompeii episode, which also had Peter Capaldi in
it. There's a lot of that stuff, not just with Doctor Who, but a lot of sci-fi genre stuff, like Star Trek. Star Trek is, I don't know, infamous for having multiple characters play multiple roles. But,
yeah,
I mean, having the same character play multiple roles through the run.
I hope everybody's enjoying that little behind the scenes of the camera.
It's always interesting watching like Deep Space Nine and recognizing like, holy shit, that's the that's the alien, the other type of alien from
I was watching one of the last
from Next Generation or something.
Well, even within the same, they'll do it even in the same.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Because in the last season of Deep Space Nine, who is Nog's son?
Oh,
Rom, Quark, Rom. Was it Rom? No, Rom is the father, right? And then Nog is the son.
Yes.
Okay, so Nog, who becomes a cadet in Starfleet. Right, so he plays somebody, but he's such a short character and he has a distinct voice. But he's usually wearing his makeup for being a Ferengi, and so he plays somebody. It's like an assassin or something, and it was just kind of really funny. I think he gets killed in that episode, but it is interesting whenever you see that stuff happen. Okay. We'll try this again with a little swoopy swappy on all the cameras.
Wow, here's a picture of him without his makeup, but you almost wouldn't know. His face kind of resembles like his. Are those his actual?
Can you try to save it into a folder and import it?
Look at his forehead wrinkles. It's a video.
Oh.
his forehead wrinkles. Here's a picture of him here.
Well, if you click on the images, you could probably, but yeah. I'm trying to think. Odo, I think you see him do a lot of different stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Randy, I've got here on the screen, we've been working on our castle stuff. And man, what a difference ink wash makes, right?
Egg wash?
Ink.
Yeah, it makes the pastries come out all nice and crispy and brown.
You can't say that unless
shiny.
You have some. Start it, Randy. It's not croissant day, so unless you got some magic hidden in that bag of holding over there, my friend.
I do actually have some chocolate donut holes if you'd like one. I was trying to get some carrot cake because like yesterday or so was carrot cake day apparently, but they didn't have any of that.
One last thing about the doctor, Randy, I did want to make sure that I mentioned, because and this is where we're at when we realized we weren't live, so we've come full circle. Oh, thank you, my friend. Oh, that is so nice. Captain Jack. So I read a thing about his appearance, and it was a sentence I never thought that I would genuinely read. And it said, widely celebrated pansexual Captain Jack Harkness, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And I was like,
yeah,
that is actually very true. I don't disagree with any of that. He is widely celebrated. And
I'm not sure, but I think that may be the first, when he initially appeared on Doctor Who.
He may have been one of the first pansexual characters and popular.
Well, and then you find out that actually the Doctor is, and he makes reference to, it's basically everybody else in the universe. Hello, it's, or in the future, it is pansexual, pretty much.
Right.
Like, there's so many different alien races. Yes, you're going to have lots of intermingling. And
it's going to get real freaky up on this mug.
It's not just, Earth is very
it's just not
isolated. Kirk. Like we think that we're the only beings in the universe. So
the universe is very sexy, man.
We are our only point of reference.
That's what I think is hilarious about Star Trek, and I love me some Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Is it is very majority centric, right? And that metaphor can extend to all kinds of things. It's
what do you mean majority centric?
So it's very often, a lot of the episodes show you that the human way is the best way. And you meet all these various cultures and all these different things. And you know who's always right? The humans. It's always the humans that show you the way. And also, almost always, it's the Federation, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, yes.
And there's sometimes in different places, different writers and different movies, or they can explore some of the dirtier nooks and crannies of that.
Yeah.
But it is almost always that the Federation is right.
And actually, like there's been several instances of where the Federation can be wrong. Is flawed just like everybody else, but they're trying their best. And they genuinely overall have altruistic intentions and everything,
which might segue very nicely
to Picard.
Into Picard,
because he does. There's in episode 1, which is available streaming for free on YouTube.
And that's for a limited time.
Currently,
so
anyway.
If you haven't taken advantage of it, I recommend doing it if you're interested in it, because I don't know how long.
I made sure to stay up after I was working last night to be able to watch it.
I'm glad that you got a chance to check that out.
I was pleased.
How do we talk about this without being spoilery?
We say, do yourself a favor and watch it.
Do yourself a favor and watch it. Do we? Do we not? Do we?
We can say.
Do we hold this to the end, the second half of the conversation, second half, and we'll save it towards the end so we can talk about it, because I want to talk about it.
Well, we can talk about it in generalizations about what you felt about it.
Yeah, we could talk about that, but I want to talk about more than that, if you're willing.
So, did you watch any of the Easter egg things that were after it?
I did not. I didn't.
I was leery of watching them because
I haven't watched anything that said. I tried to stay away from those because you're, I think, very similar to me, that a lot of times you don't want too much information beforehand.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even watch anymore
Trailers.
because they just showed. It used to be that like movie trailers were teasers, and they would get you ramped up for the movie and stuff. Now
It could be
it's like they
anything.
show you the whole freaking movie
Well, but
in part. And I'm
Maybe.
not even talking about the part that it's like maybe what they show is that it's misleading because it's not even actually in the movie because it's a cutscene or something. I'm not even referring to that. I'm just talking.
And yeah,
about,
but
like,
even then, I mean, sometimes they'll do that where, like, if you watch the trailer for Brave, that you think that the first 15 minutes of the movie is the entire movie. You're like, well, I just saw the entire movie. No, they just saw the intro, and you don't realize that. But so I've experienced that. But then also, yeah, or the thing is too is they do these things. It's like A/B testing. Like the first time I became aware of this was watching some of the extras from episode 1, and they'll make a trailer that makes it just look like it is a completely different movie. Like, Star Wars episode 1 is really, it's a love story, right? And I was like, huh? What? Or, it's, they'll focus on like one character, like, and the whole thing could be like the focus from like on Jar Jar, right? It's Jar Jar's story, or, it's Padme's story, or it's, and so you can, take scenes from a movie and focus on that. And like, yeah, okay, that represented about 2% of the movie, but yet you could take all the scenes and string them together and make a trailer that makes it seem like, oh, and that's to get different graphics interested in your movie, right? And to see which ones, are playing well. So yeah, the trailers can be really crazy. And I want to find my Easter eggs generally. I don't want people to show them to me.
Right.
And then, yeah, the danger of of the information it's going to give me before I'm ready. So go ahead.
So it was like, if it was just dealing with that episode, which I had just watched, then I was potentially interested if it didn't give spoilers for the rest of the series. And I'm interested in facts and not just wide speculation and stuff and saying, yeah. So I started to watch it, and then it ended up being like they were kind of broadly talking about some stuff. There were some specifics, like this thing shows up, it was not necessarily intrinsic to the plot, but just little like nice things for the fans, like, hey, this item is from this episode of this iteration of the series or whatever.
I mean, things like
cool,
like the name of his dog.
Yeah,
that's kind of
funny. I love that. Because that just gives you a broader appreciation and shows that they have an appreciation for it, and the fans, and they took the care to put these items in, and you may not remember that item or realize what it was from, or so it gives you
and that's one thing. I felt that there was a lot of care given to the creation of that episode. It looked gorgeous, and it did not feel slapdash, and it was I thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, there was definitely high production value.
Very high production value.
Extremely.
Yeah. I mean, they understand.
It felt like a movie, and it was. I wanted to see the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep. So it is.
It does what it's supposed to.
It's just the first episode
Yep.
of a series. So it is kind of an introduction. It is an awesome introduction.
Yeah, and
I would say it definitely leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, and it's an introduction, but it's an introduction to a much beloved character who wasn't pansexual, as far as I know. But it's still much celebrated.
Canon, no.
But still much celebrated. Although, I don't know. He may have got freaky with some aliens. Yeah, as far as we know. What we do behind closed doors, Leslie.
Yeah, what we do on the holodeck.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Randy, I put the dick back in holodeck. Sorry about that. I apologize. Not really.
I'm trying to think of. I mentioned this the other day, and now I can't think of it. What's the pleasure? Oh, Ryza. Yeah. What happens on Ryza stays on Ryza.
That's right. What happens in Ryza gets redacted from the logs. Expunge that from the records, number one. That's the thing. Is like, they got the Alpha 362. That's when he's got a Alpha 653 Omega 2 is clear my search history from
which segues
clear search history from the holodeck. Clear the holodeck search history.
That segues to something else real quick.
And we're gonna
real quick mention, and then we'll come back.
We're gonna need the ensign to come in here with a squeegee mop.
So obscure holidays. There was recently like data security day or whatever, protect your online identity day or something. So I'm like, PSA, make sure you using that incognito window, boys and girls.
There you go. Always. That is always a good
filthy
PSA.
Bastards.
That's right. You filthy.
Remember to delete your internet history.
That's right. And clean your keyboards. Randy.
Yes.
So another PSA.
Yes.
So I had told you I was a bad fellow, and I had left the brush in the water, and it had loosed the adhesion in the ferrule.
Yeah.
And in the wheel ferrule, so the ferrule lost its wheel, apparently, as well as bristles. So
it needs some Rogaine real bad.
There you go.
No.
So, lesson learned.
Wah, wah.
I will have to, however, I'll use this.
That's okay. You just use those bristles to make a detail brush, a different type of brush.
Actually, you know what you can do with these is these are actually really good for grass.
There you go.
Yeah. You're right. I will not throw away this brush. I will cut all these bristles.
Wait, you are talking about as a scenic design, not as a smoking element, right? I don't think you want to be smoking that, dude. That's not... I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh, dude, you've never had Kalinsky Sable? Dude.
Sable is good shit.
Dude, what you really want, dude, is you want to get some of that golden tachyon. Or the red sable. Good stuff.
You want to really get those hydrocarbons breathed in. Really.
I do love the names of weed and now that, as it's becoming legal across the country at a growing rate.
The names of them.
Yeah, they've always got the funniest.
It is funny.
And it's funny to come up with your own. I'm sure there's probably, Randy, a thing if you take your name and you plug it into a thing and it tells you what you would be as weed. You would be like Randy, you would be you'd be like OG Mama Jamma, and I would be I would be like
I'm gonna see if they have
I'd be like sticky perpedeliac or something. I don't know.
That sounds like a venereal disease.
And also, oddly enough.
Oh, wait. Okay, well, it looks like they do have something that does that, although it just may be clickbait. That's not really what it seems to be.
All right. So,
I'm clicking on it.
I am unhappy with my some of my choices here, Randy.
Oh.
That was really the brush I wanted to use, and it pains me that I'm not going to be able to use it, but we will adapt and overcome. So, taking a look. Oh, we are not.
Oh wait. Oh, here's what's your stoner elf name?
Your stoner elf name. All right.
What's your pot grower name?
All right, that's close.
What's your drug dealer name? What does
You know what my stoner elf handle would be, Randy?
Your what now?
My stoner elf name. I'm thinking something like from ashes to Darnassus. Because the males and their Darnassus.
Your stoner elf name is according to this, is apparently Danky Evergreens.
Danky Evergreen.
Yeah.
Danky Evergreen. Well, right.
Mine is Spleef Evergreens, or depending on which of my names you use, Zips Evergreens.
Zips. I love it. There's a thing I think we're going to have to add to the rotation, Randy. It's Carrie. She's like, "Oh, do you want to hear today's thing?" And I think it's called, I can't remember what the name is. It's like From the Lunch Table or something like that. And it's these, kids say the darndest things, but it's some of the best versions of it. I can't remember. It's like from the lunchroom or from the lunch table or something like that. a little warm.
The Lunch Table YouTube. Lunch Table Hip Hop for Thought. I don't know.
All right.
Okay, so we're back to Picard.
So yeah, so with the Picard. Oh, also, Randy, can I ask you a Doctor Who thing before we go to Picard?
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to be Randy. The ink wash. If you take a look here, the difference it makes on these things. I gave them all a spritz.
Yeah, and it looks like it. Because you really can't see the full detail on the camera. Because it looks like it's pretty much covered up all the work that you've done underneath.
But it hasn't.
But it hasn't.
Yeah.
You can see like it's shadowy shadow colors and stuff still show through.
Yeah, there's different. I did different variations of it, and we had hit different parts of it. So here's one where you can kind of still see a lot of the striping, still.
Mm-hmm.
But like I can see it a lot more than you can here.
What kind of ink did you use? Did you use a 50/50
I did
or
homemade.
did you use a?
I did homemade, and I was trying to. I know that.
Did it have any metallic in it?
No, It's just. It was just Liquitex matte medium.
Oh, okay.
And I'll try to put a link, Randy. I thought try to focus on highlighting an item, and I'll put a link to it on each of the episodes. So I'll try to put this one into the cubelage. It's some of that future floor polish, acrylic floor wax, and water, and then ink, and just using like Liquitex inks, and also I use some of this Bombay India ink. So the ratio that was being prescribed by multiple people was, to my best guess, it was about 10 parts water to about 5 or 6 parts matte medium, and then 1 part acrylic floor wax. So, and then I used a Mr. bottle.
Mr. who?
A Mr. from another sister. Just like a misting bottle to apply it.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's your favorite color?
Yep.
Nice.
And I'm secure in my masculinity. I'm afraid of pink. Actually, I prefer pink in the middle. But hey, check your own local listings. Eating undercooked meat is another PSA, right, Randy? So moving on, Randy, I will continue to work on that, and then we can. I did want to ask you a Doctor Who question though beforehand.
Yeah, please do.
I always kind of felt like they try to infer that the lifespan of the Doctor is much longer than one might just gather from a cursory glance, right? So you take somebody like David Tennant, he was on for 3 or 4 seasons, right? So 3 or 4 years roughly, and they kind of seem like the that ends up being about 3 or 4 years of the companion's life who's with him. However, the Doctor tends to have other adventures while he's not with the companions during that time span. Would you agree with that?
In the new series, relatively recently, I don't think they started that at the beginning of the new iteration of the Doctor.
Okay.
With Eccleston, I think that was probably started with David Tennant's Doctor.
Okay. Which Eccleston was only, they were getting their legs right on that first season.
Yeah. And definitely, that is definitely purposely the case, that he definitely does have other stuff that he's doing.
And sometimes
and then they went even further with it later on, saying that, potentially hundreds of years or millennia, potentially, like he's off doing whatever.
Right.
And then coming back.
Right. And I think there was one, might have been with the Pawns. Like he didn't want to go, and so he kept dragging it out, and he kept visiting everybody one last time and kind of thing. And they were saying that it was it was so okay. That's what I was thinking. So it was almost like the companions. It's kind of like a year to year sort of thing. A season is about a year's worth of experiences for them, and even that doesn't seem necessarily true, right? Because they could be out having months of adventures in between episodes, in theory.
Yeah. And that has happened.
Because
they definitely make
they
reference.
infer that there's other things going on than what you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have made direct reference to such things.
Okay. That's what I wanted to.
But in the past, in the original series, I don't recall any instance of that ever being the case. It was. I'm sure there was much more going on, but it wasn't ever really talked about, I don't think.
And he was always with the companions, right?
Yes, so it was always presented as, and plus I think the episodes used to be a half hour long.
Okay.
So they didn't have as much room to, explore that sort of stuff or anything. It was just very much like, this is this episode, we're doing this thing. These are the people, let's get our action done.
Freak of the week.
Yeah. So yeah. In the newer series, they definitely directly reference a lot of that behind the scenes stuff you don't see, kind of thing.
I appreciate that. We can go back to Picard. I appreciate that clarification on it. You want to continue with?
So we had made a reference to it was why we segued or how we segued to Picard.
About the Federation.
Talking about that, and I can't remember what specifically the Federation, but
it was kind of talking about how the Federation centric, and that the Federation is almost always portrayed as right. But in the Picard episode, it seemed that they were presenting.
I said that the series did have references to they're not always right. They're only human, and they're trying, but they are genuinely genuinely trying to do their best and have altruistic intentions. But yeah, and where they do call back and say, they do make mistakes, or, maybe they're not always right, is referenced in Picard. And I think we're okay to say he makes a speech of sorts on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to go any further into that, really.
Because
it's not really spoiling.
No, because they just talk about the thing is, and I'm not 100% certain about what happened, but apparently there's a reason why he isn't in Starfleet, and he's not necessarily. It wasn't necessarily a peaceful.
Yeah, and it's directly referenced in the episode.
Yeah, and he wasn't necessarily happy with choices that the Federation chose, and because of that, so that's all we'll say about that.
And it's much more poignant than that sounds. It's a deeper instance of whether it wasn't just him being like, well, I didn't like that decision.
Yeah, but that makes it more interesting to me, right?
Yeah.
It was like, and spoilers if you haven't seen, any of the Star Wars, the last two Star Wars movies. Why would you be listening to this? Luke, the portrayal of Luke. It's more interesting, I think, if it defies what you're expecting. That's almost always more interesting storytelling, right? Giving you what you want is not good storytelling. Giving you what you're expecting to come is not good storytelling. And so it's more interesting, I think, having a non pro Federation Picard, I think, is more interesting than having him go spread that Federation love throughout the universe like a space pimp.
I have a lot of questions about his the guy and the girl that are in his house. Yes. I have a lot of questions about that. I can see several potentials of where they're going. I have 10 possibilities of where that what might be going on there. So that's interesting.
They
made one specific reference that.
Well, and if you've seen any of the trailers, I think we can talk about anything that's in a trailer.
I didn't watch it. It goes back to finishing our conversation about trailers real quick. Is that I generally don't like watching trailers because they give too much away. I'd rather experience it firsthand while I'm watching the episode.
Oh, M50. Oh, I love you.
The M50's frozen again.
I'm gonna do a quick reset. That didn't work.
What else about it that we want?
So the thing is, though, is that one of the main things is that there is a young girl who comes to Picard seeking help. I mean, that was predominant in every single one of the trailers.
Okay.
And her saying, "I don't know why, but I feel safe with you." And they show. It appears that a lot of the characters from Star Trek Next Generation and even potentially other variations of Star Trek can make appearances in this. Can and will make appearances. But the nature of who this girl is was extremely interesting. And also...
I had actually wondered along those lines already. In part, I don't want to say anything.
We have to.
I can't go further down that road without revealing too much, I think.
Yeah, we'll save that. Well, we'll save that to the second half. Let's skip the card for right now.
Well, we can talk about more in detail next, because that'll give people. We can either give them till next episode or until next week, and then we can talk about it in more detail.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. So you want to just put it on the back burner? Because I do really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. But that means we won't talk about it off camera.
That's fine.
Okay. Fair enough. I think we've come to a consensus, Randy.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to, give you time to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because like I said,
I might. I might do that if we're going to talk about it in detail. I might watch it again.
Yeah. Which service is it on?
It is on CBS's All Access.
Okay. See, and that's one of the
paid
services that I'm not paying for, because I'm already paying for other stuff. So
right, but that's the thing, is they understand that.
Yeah.
And so I have to give it to them. I mean, if you were ever going to pick something that I think has the power to pull somebody,
yeah,
that's a good one.
Oh yeah, well, it did. Yeah, it's definitely.
I mean, bringing one of the most beloved characters.
Yeah, they'll get a lot of traction for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, and they did a really, and that's why I think they were like, we're gonna let you hit that crack pipe for free.
Yeah,
because it's that
exactly.
Good. It's that good.
I'm sure some of them were like, we have to give this to the fans to be able to see this, and but I mean, immediately at the same time, everybody else was like, yeah, absolutely we do, because that's gonna get us a lot of business.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I am I will be watching this show. I'm not exactly sure how. I might just wait and, buy it when it comes out. But
yeah,
I do plan on watching it. I do think that show
how hard am I going to have to try to not hear any of the spoilers before I actually get around to watching it?
Well, that's true. That's a very good point. Yeah. And if I were them, I would make sure it has all kinds of spoilers. All kinds of things that you would want to catch on day one. So, Randy, I mixed up a custom gray here. Kind of like what I used before. I had actually added the
You mixed it up? Like confused it?
Oh, I did, yeah. I just brought it to where I'm at, which is a general state of confusion.
Oh.
That's all right. I got friends that help me along the way. Yeah. Oh, Randy, I'm liking the way this is going to come out. I don't know if it's going to show as good, but you can see.
That hole is cool.
Thanks. It's just I just want to savor. It's not. I don't get it, Andy. Yeah. That's not. It's not something I hear as often as I'd like. I don't hear that. I don't hear that as often as I'd like. I'll be honest with you. So I just want to take a moment to savor it. You can go ahead and elaborate on my hole if you want.
It looks like
it's not my hole. It's the hole here.
I love that type of development there, because it reminds me very specifically of and even more specifically when I am at Old Man's Cave.
Oh yeah.
And the water has dripped and the creek has dripped down in a certain spot on one of the smaller tiered waterfall effects, and eaten the hole away in the stone below it a bit, caused that little indentation.
I appreciate you calling that point out, because there was some of these elements in here that I tried to use and keep, And so some of these, like, it's instead of like covering it or masking it, I think I just hit it with the heat gun to distress it a little. So, and especially with some of these things, like if they have writing on them or something, like where it really calls out that it's not it's not organic in any way, shape, or form, or and but yeah, I thought like some of these, and then some of these things too, like I even had a place.
Although that would be potentially funny if it just said "Made in China" in the middle of
yeah.
What is this weird graffiti?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Greeblies, or I think I told you when I saw the Millennium Falcon, and it had a little Champion oil sticker on it.
Yeah,
and it's just like that's pretty neat. But yeah, so I tried to put some of those things in here to just give it more architectural elements, and I have some places too where I'd had some of these sitting together. And when they were sitting on top of each other, I pulled them off. And that happens sometimes with that Mod Podge. If you get Mod Podge on Mod Podge, you'll pull them apart and one will stick. And when stuff like that happens, we'll just incorporate it. So I'm thinking like with some of these, we're going to put like vines and stuff like that on it. So I figured it'll just be a place to put some vines where those types of things occur. And also with this stuff, I tend to be a little rough and tumble with it to kind of figure out where some of the breaky points will be, and then you just incorporate that into it. So I know I'd had some brickwork where it stuck out a little bit, and it broke off on some places. So that's fine. That's all part of the process. So all right. What time? Computer? Okay, I know what time it is.
6 till 1.
We could go ahead and discuss mental health minute if you are inclined.
Sure. Yeah, specifically today.
I mean, you want
to dark days this morning when I woke up.
Do you want to talk today?
Sure.
Sure.
Like I said, I'm feeling better now, and I'm here and got some coffee in me and hanging out with you and involved in actually doing this stuff. So, night and day there. Yeah, it took a while. I wasn't sure I was going to get out of bed this morning.
And I guess one thing is, right, that's where we talk about having routine and commitment, helps, because left to your own devices, and when you find that strength to do things for other people that you don't find to do for yourself.
Yeah. And again, like, just because I've done work in the past and gotten, made a lot of progress with these issues.
Yeah.
It's not a one and done thing. It's something that you, essentially something that you have for the rest of your life, and you constantly have to do that maintenance, and and sometimes you're just going to have bad days.
Yep. And, Randy, let me take a pause on that. So, we have the mental health minute that we try to do here in the middle of our show. And because I think both of us feel very strongly about helping to normalize mental health issues. And it's something, as you were saying, not a one and done. I am a person who is constantly struggling to accept my own mental health issues and being okay with it, and not demeaning myself and thinking that I'm a weak-minded person because I suffer from these things. And I was thinking about that, and I wanted to add that, but you can please continue.
And things have gotten a lot better along those lines because in today's age.
Yes, yeah.
Because when we were brought up, that was very much like, you don't talk about that. That is not a thing that you talk about. It's not a thing you admit to as a weakness.
I think especially for it's a gender.
And
I think that men,
like women it's much more acceptable and expected for women to be able to talk about their emotions and express their emotions.
Right, women can have the vapors,
supposed to be,
right?
Like, not cry and if you cry, you're a girl. You're like derogatorily referred to as a girl and made fun of or whatever. So things have improved greatly in that respect.
And still, despite that, I am surprised by that. And I went to school and took a whole lot of psychology classes, and I still really struggle with fighting against the stigma that I put on it myself. Right, it's the stigma that I'm placing upon it.
I've fought with that. It's important because from the medication, from like going and speaking with someone about it, talking to a doctor, talking to a counselor, a psychiatrist, whatever, psychologist, that had a stigma against it, being in therapy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, if I had to go as a kid when my parents got divorced and stuff, I had a brother that tried to commit suicide when I was younger, who more recently succeeded in that another attempt. But during that time, my parents were getting divorced as well, so I had to go to therapy. They made me go to therapy, and there was a fear about people finding out any of this stuff. You know, I was raised. That's another part of it as well. Is I was raised as a good WASP. You know, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. You just bottle all that stuff up. You don't talk about it. Secret.
I was
Secret.
raised in a yellow jacket.
And you don't talk about your problems.
Right. You stuff it down.
Yeah.
You stuff it down. You
hide it.
And you yell at yourself about it.
So there was a very big fear about people finding out that I was having to go to a psychiatrist or talk to anybody, or that, you know, they tried to put me on
well, I mean, we use lovely terms like
back then that was a stigma against that too.
You know, head shrink, right? Shrink, head shrinker.
Yeah.
Not a particularly lovely term, right? You talk about, you know, mental institutions. We use lovely terms for those as well, right?
Yeah. And a lot of that, you know, because of the history of it.
Yeah.
And even more recent, like pretty recently, there's gruesome stuff that happened in some of these places.
Well, we were talking about, kind of a callback when we were talking about Bedlam.
Yeah.
Bethlehem.
And even far more recently than you would realize.
Oh, yeah.
It was still like, lobotomies?
Yeah.
Like really bad lobotomy stuff. That's the one where they like put a
lobotomy is, I believe,
they stick something, they like move your eyeball aside and jam something in.
Frontal lobotomy is basically removing a part of your frontal lobe.
Yeah.
The ways that they do it, I think,
experimented a lot with that, though, within these supposed hospitals, where anyway, basically loony bins. Okay, and that lasted like even after they were banned, because it was determined that they were not beneficial in the long run. Like for the majority of people, they were just making it problem worse, or just making the people in the vegetables, or killing the people, as opposed to having any noticeable benefit,
right?
Appreciative benefit. That even continued past the time that it was banned on everybody else, on gay people, just because they were gay. It was like, whatever, yeah, you go ahead and experiment all you want on those freaks. But
well, Randy, how would we know if you did anything good?
So that was
what they're hoping to unqueer them up. Is that what we're hoping to do?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All
right.
And so that continued for a long time, and until fairly recently, much more recently than you would expect.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it, like when we worked at Bureau of Workers' Comp, you know, and some of the older ICD-9 references volumes. I mean, homosexuality has an ICD-9 code. There's a diagnosis. You could be diagnosed with homosexuality. And it's just like, oh man, it sucks.
I don't think it's in there anymore, but it was in there very recently. It was in there. I had heard that it said that it was removed at a certain point, but what I found that it was saying that it was removed, the time frame, well, it was still in there, because we saw it. When we were working, it was still in there, and supposedly this thing was saying that it had been removed before that, and it had not.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, because I think we were using older versions of the manuals as well.
Like
but even then, we were using
ICD-9 code,
because it was ICD-9 5 or something like that. And I think like the manuals that we had, because I mean we were just temp workers. Mm-hmm. I think we had like a manual for the 4 or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think we were necessarily even using the most current.
But so it goes back to like, you know, how all these negative views of psychology, even, you know, as a broader field, but more specifically like mental health issues, or more broadly mental health issues in general, I guess, and all that stuff, how the negative connotations about that developed and stuff. But you know, things have improved.
Yeah.
And there's still, but they're still fighting those stigmas.
Oh yeah.
And the stigmas of like, even like my brother has some issues, and my father and stuff as well. You know, depression and suicidal tendency and things run in my family. And so we believe there is probably some genetic element to that.
Yeah. And a lot of times,
like a predisposition toward it, or a sensitivity toward it, or something.
A lot of the things that I found that when they talked about this is that usually it's both, right? That there is both a genetic and an environmental trigger. You know, that you can have a genetic disposition,
but then you have an environmental trigger. Kind of
yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
So you were saying in your family there may be genetic.
Yeah. So they were very much like, you know.
Who's the
macho? My father and my brother.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
My little brother. Very much. You know,
that old school.
Sorry, I'm struggling with like, should I be talking about this? I'm fighting the
I'll talk about anything.
the Anglo-Saxon Protestant WASP training, as well as people's privacy. But this is something that needs to be talked about. So, yeah, and they are both very much of the macho, like, it's unmanly, or it means that I'm weak if I seek help, sort of thing.
Right.
And
so, you know, and
as much as it would definitely help them, and they should do it, they won't.
Yeah. And in fairness, I mean, you know, there's a reason why the people have those ideals, right? I mean, it wasn't generally like they just developed these thoughts on their own, right? These were ideals that were taught to them, and
yeah, in whatever way it was, it's a learned.
And not that we're saying it's right, but
connotation. I don't know. Anyway,
but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Hopefully,
you know what I'm saying too.
Yeah, I know it very much.
Yeah.
Yes, no, very, very much to do. Yeah, it is tough. It's, you know, the ideas of what it was to be a man in the 70s when I grew up. In, you know, 80s is when I was a teenager. It's completely different than I think what we think about it now.
Yeah.
And
it's important to realize that, you know, it's important to destigmatize these things, and because then you can open up communications about it.
Yeah.
You can open up that being able to talk about it and discuss it, and that's the only way that it's going to improve. That's the only way you're going to make any positive improvements in the area is by having that discussion, you know, is by being able to talk about it and feel comfortable discussing and dealing with those issues. And so medication is another aspect of that. You know, you may need, or at least some people definitely need. There are some people that have definite specific biological chemical imbalances in their brains and whatever, or their whatever glands within their bodies that are producing hormones that are out of whack. And so in those cases, medications can be definitely necessary to assist with those things. And then there are other people who just, you know, they're suffering from the mental emotional aspects of it and being stuck in the loop and being overwhelmed by it. And perhaps there are definitely some medications out there that could perhaps help them deal with those things, even if it's just in the short term of helping them get through the really rough patches. You know, nothing it's a Band-Aid, it's a crutch, but if used properly, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
It's not bad to use a crutch if you're a cripple.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was something that you said there, Randy, about.
Mm-hmm.
You said a lot of things. You were like the Bible, Randy. You said a lot of things.
Am I talking too fast?
No, you're not.
I'm caffeinated and I've got something to talk about, so I tend to try to get it all out at once.
And I mean, we have been going about 10 minutes on it, so I mean, if you have more than you want to say, please.
Yeah, I did want to finish that.
Please.
Just medication. If don't be afraid of it.
That's what I wanted to say. Because
like one may not work for you.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with the psychiatrist or counselor, whoever, somebody to talk to. They might not be the right one for you. That type of therapy might not be the right type of therapy.
Yep.
There's lots of different types
of
therapy.
Different therapies.
The point is to discuss these things and find what works for you.
There's one thing. The thing that I did want to say, Randy, it came back to me, was like I suffer from migraines, right?
Yeah.
Now I realize that I'm really lucky. I'm a really lucky migraine sufferer, which is something you never hear somebody say.
Yeah.
Because I suffer. My migraines are very much on the light end. Now, on the light end, what that means is that I get a blind spot in my vision. And it starts about the size of, if you were reading a book, it'd be about the size of a piece of rice on the page. And I noticed it first time I ever had it was when we were at BWC and we were doing data entry, and I couldn't see a letter I was trying to type. And then it expands, and then it goes, and I get like basically tunnel vision, and then it goes away, and in 30 minutes I'm going to start to have a headache that's going to last about 4 hours. It's going to suck. Now, that's a very positive experience for migraine sufferers compared to what a lot of people have. Some people have them for days, and it puts them down, and
my mom has had them bad in the past.
Totally light sensitive.
Yeah. She had the nausea, really extreme nausea. But I think she's had it to the point where potentially vomiting, but she would be on occasion bedridden. For potentially a couple of days. So she had to have shots and medications, and more recently they've tried Botox on the scalp and neck and stuff to try to combat that.
My brother's wife, similar. Yeah, she suffers from them really bad and has tried a lot of things. Carrie, she actually suffers from them really bad, but she has regular massage therapy, and it helps. If she doesn't have her massage therapy every other week, you can pretty much guarantee she's going to get a migraine. But so with that, I can understand how somebody like some of the other people we've discussed would when I talk about migraines think, I don't even know what a migraine is, son. But I do have migraines. I mean, I went to a doctor. Doctor's like, oh, this is a dictionary definition of a migraine, and blah 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 blah. But I take umbrage when people say, oh, I'm suffering from a migraine, when they mean a really bad headache. Yeah. And it's not the same thing. And like I say, admittedly, I am on the very light end of migraines, and I still take umbrage against that comment. And I think that there is a similar thing that exists in mental health, right? I've experienced just being sad and being down in the dumps, and maybe having a bit of melancholy, or maybe even a bit of ennui. And then I've also suffered chemical depression. Like from when I've gone off of antidepressants, or switched from things, and I apologize for the M50 today and my lack of attentiveness to it, to our fair listeners. I'm gonna switch this from the multi. That's chemical depression. From that, when I switched from medications, and holy crap, that is not the same thing. And people who have not experienced that, people who have not experienced a migraine, will understandably think that their really bad headache is a migraine. It's not. And the same thing, being down in the dumps, being sad, that is not the same thing as chemical depression. And other forms of depression and anxiety. Being anxious is not the same thing as having an anxiety attack, which I don't think is the same thing as having a panic attack. It's a wide spectrum. And if you hear people talking in some of these terms and they aren't things that you personally experience, give a little bit of moment to understand that what they're describing is not exactly some of the same things that you're experiencing, and that they can run a little bit deeper and be a little bit more profound for those people. And that's why it's not as simple as, hey, just buck up and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and those types of things. Yeah,
it's good for pretty much just life in general, is to step back and listen to what somebody is saying, and step outside of your own sphere of experience, and realize that it might mean something else to somebody else.
True. Yeah, that's a very fair point. Very fair indeed. Anything else on that one, Randy? I don't want to.
I think we.
I mean, it's a continuing conversation, so we'll be coming back to it. I'm going to try to show you here, Randy, some of the dry brushing I'm doing, so you can kind of see a difference between one that I have done and one that I haven't. And I'm afraid to go too heavy, so I probably will hit this again, maybe even with a little lighter white on this. I just don't want to go too heavy. If I do go too heavy on it, I can always hit it with some more wash. And then also, I haven't hit any of these places yet, and I'm thinking that what I'll do is probably add a little green and a little purple to the grays that I do to kind of tie it in to them and help separate it from this as well. So that's why I haven't dry brushed any of these areas. I could, and it would be very effective because some of these colors would still show through, but I think I want to increase that contrast even a little bit more. Let me see if I can. It is being super duper cranky. I think if I unplug it, it tends to work a little bit better.
Has that been on the live feed at all? I didn't notice it on the live feed. The M50,
the frozen
M50.
Yeah.
Oh.
It looks like it needs you to refresh it for it to get past that, because according to here, it's getting a good feed. After I repowered it. If we do that, I might be able. I don't know. I'll also do the. See if I can change. Oh, you're doing. Yeah, your thing. Sorry. Yep. Sorry about that.
1 second. Property.
And I'll just keep this to the side for a reference when we come back to it, and I'll continue along that path. Let's see here. Pull out one of these.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you, my good sir. Oh, this should work much better, I think. Okay. So here's one that I just did. And this is what it looks like beforehand. Try to get to where the sun, or not where the sun.
It is still like so.
It
like
is
you
hard.
put so much in the work into putting so much color and paint and stuff on it, and then cover it up. And it seems like you just lose it all. But yeah, you're not getting the full effect on the camera. There's depth there that you've achieved to that.
Yeah, here's this one looks, I think, particularly nice. Computer, string lights on. Computer, string lights on. And this might help as well.
Yeah, I'm about to need bifocals, I think. God damn it.
But there is a lot of variation in there. And it's like you do really have to go strong.
So I can see the, oh yeah, where you've hit it with the heat gun and stuff. That's added some nice contrasts there.
Yeah, it gives it texture, right? It helps it not feel so flat in the places.
And it makes adds to an organic element, and
especially if you're comparing it to this.
Your, M50 timer.
Reset the timer.
Yeah, that's nice. I love the variants it gave instead of just having the whole, that steady all over pattern of the styrofoam little bubbles.
Yeah, the raising of them, I think, I'm really glad I stumbled upon that. I think I'm going to be using that again and again and again.
So is it that the panel on the inside? Let's see. Yeah, you see it on the outside too on this side. But it gives it that aged, worn, weather worn kind of appearance to it. It's nice.
Thanks. That's so that I concur. I'm really pleased. And it is funny because it was like that one part where it's like, I know this is ugly, right? You don't have to tell me. I get it. It's ugly. It looks ugly, but it's supposed to look ugly. And that's usually when we're doing this. We end up having to make it look ugly before we make it look good. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Randy, I want to remind people again that we've got all of our links down in our in the description area. I'll try to put a link to some of this Liquitex matte medium. It's our featured thing for today. We use this to making our custom ink. You could just sit this anywhere. It's fine. Or sit on top there. And
make sure that you're adding stuff to your list to give people new options.
Yeah. I need to go in there and increase that. I want to. It's kind of on the short list of things to work on. And we also have our link to our Patreon down there. And that's a great way for you to support our channel. So take a look at that if you're interested in that. I'm working on some miniatures for some of the elite tiers, but even at some of the lower tiers, there's some interesting things that we posted. Randy, that song that I'd sent you the other day, that I was working on just with some layered loops, I posted that on the Patreon. So
cool.
For people that were the Fando above, it's like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna use this or not, but so that was something that they were. And that was just a song that I'd worked on. It was about 3 minutes, layering some loops. I thought came out pretty cool.
Yeah, and reminder, I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but for some reason, you said that I was definitely subscribed to your Instagram, right?
Oh yeah.
And I that's why I signed up for Instagram, and I was.
And I know you did because it was like, it was like Shadow something came through and liked 100 of my pictures.
Yeah,
it was like, Randy signed up.
Yeah, but now I'm not, and I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. So yeah,
but all of a sudden I was getting a bunch of notifications from Instagram recommending all these other channels, and I wasn't getting any feeds from you.
That's weird.
Any notifications from your Instagram posting. So
and
I don't know what happened, but I need to go back in and fix it.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that as well. See if it shows that you are, and it shows that you're not. Or... Yeah, because we post daily on there. So there is one of the things that it says, as I've looked about, like, how do you improve your Instagram game, that one of the most important things is timeliness of posts. So it will always want to show a more timely post over an older post. And so it's important they say it's can be important to understand when your viewership is using Instagram. Because that's what they're so like. If say, I almost always post say around noon every day, and that works according to my viewership numbers. So like if you were always viewing at 4 a.m. or something, then my stuff would be less likely to show. But I think
I could see that, because if you get the notification when the person posts it, especially if you're a person who has a ton of different stuff that you subscribe to on Instagram or something, that it may get lost in the
and then I think there might be also like a
storm,
like a subscription, like with YouTube, there's like, hey, this is what we think that you're gonna like, but then there's also a tab that is these are just your subscriptions. So because there's like stuff that people I subscribe to that I never see any of their stuff on that top recommended page ever. So you have to, I'm not sure. So also, Randy, something I want to look into is IGTV. They have a thing where you can post long form videos, I think up to an hour. So I might look into sharing some of our content. Instagram, it's like Instagram TV.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
they have because they got like stories and they've got other stuff. So I'm still, getting to learn on about all that. Man, this is really starting to come along here. Oh, that was heavy.
I had a couple little trivia things.
Yeah, go ahead. I hit a little hard here, really, and so I might have to end up.
It made a big difference.
Yeah, a little dry, darker, so it might not be so bad. But if it ends up being an area that and it might still just look good just as is anyway, as long as I don't do it all that hard. But I can always use wash.
Put a big blood splatter on there.
Yeah, there's 1,000 ways. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. We'll put a decapitated head there or something.
Or put a light.
Yeah, and I am gonna I want to have like vines and stuff like that coming out of stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun once we get to that stage. So, but I did want to point it out because I don't think the camera was necessarily catching. There we go.
Okay.
You said you had some stuff you want to talk about?
Yeah, little trivia, little word trivia and stuff. So, do you know what a glockenspiel is?
A glockenspiel is an instrument.
Yes,
I think is a glockenspiel similar. I think a glockenspiel glockenspiel. Was a glockenspiel probably used in klezmer music? And it's that kind of similar to a type of piano. There's a certain type of piano that they call that's got a real chink chink chinky chink 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 sound to it.
How's it go?
It goes chink chink chink. Hold on, I got it. No, I don't. It's a real stringy, heavy, like clang. It almost sounds like a toy piano. There's a Jimi Hendrix song where he uses one. I can't remember what they call it. But anyways, that's my best guess at a glockenspiel.
Okay. Yeah, so when I heard glockenspiel in the past, I was thinking of the like mechanical musical instrument. Like do you know what I mean when I say that? Mechanical.
Yeah, you're like something. I think I do.
Instruments.
Like
a large.
Yeah, like they have like those ones that like play like out like glasses and stuff, right? Different shaped glasses, and yeah, I know.
That's not what I'm thinking about.
No, but they have different versions of like these large scales. Because I'm not talking about somebody playing glasses. Like they have a thing that like it's like, I think it like rotates and has ridges, and you play it. But yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not doing a good job describing it.
What I think about it when I hear it is, or what I was thinking about it when I heard it, was like I have a specific kind of image of, if you think of like a cabinet, almost like a wardrobe-sized sort of cabinet.
Yeah.
A mechanically driven instrument.
Do you mean like a player piano?
Maybe like it would be that kind of. It have like the metal tines.
Right.
I think that.
But like a player piano, is that what you're talking about?
Sort of like that, but not a player piano.
But I mean, a player piano style.
I can't.
That type of mechanism is what you're talking about. I can't recall
what it's actually called. It's not the glockenspiel, so
okay.
I can't find it without the proper search term apparently, because it's pulling up everything about what I'm talking about.
Did they use the glockenspiel in klezmer music? In klezmer music, you know that like it's in Sherlock Holmes movie with Iron Man.
I'm getting
Robert Downey.
that I'm not looking for.
They use that music. It's that ding, dinky, ding, ding, ding. You know, kind of.
Probably helps if you spell it properly.
Well, usually. Spiel means to play in German. I don't know what Glocken is.
So, well, okay. What is klezmer
So it's to play
music?
a Glocken. I don't know what a Glock is.
According to klezmerband.com, klezmer is a Hebrew word, a combination of the words clay or kli, vessel, and zemer, melody, that refer to musical instruments in ancient times. It became colloquially attached to Jewish folk musicians sometime in the Middle Ages. According to, well, let's just say Google, because it doesn't want to give me any more specifics than that on this. Klezmer is a musical tradition of the Ashkenazi Jews of Eastern Europe, played by professional musicians called klezmerim, in ensembles known as kapelle.
You're doing great.
The genre originally consisted largely of dance tunes and instrumental display pieces for weddings and other celebrations.
It's got a funky beat.
Okay. So typical instruments: violin.
Give it a 7.
Cymbalum.
Annie, Ontario.
Not seen that before. Clarinet, accordion, trombone, trumpet, piano, double bass, cello, and flute. Okay.
So nothing on the glockenspiel, huh?
Nothing on that.
Computer, what does a glockenspiel sound like?
That's gonna give it away, I think.
Well,
here's something I found.
Computer, stop! I didn't realize that you had.
Plus, when she's just going to give you instead of doing what you actually asked,
All right.
she's just going to tell you the definition. So apparently, a glockenspiel is actually a metal xylophone, because a xylophone is apparently a wood instrument, not the same thing in metal. Yeah. And there's also some potential tuning differences as well.
Okay.
So like a xylophone or a glockenspiel may be tuned a certain way, or a certain set of different ways that differ somehow from each other. Yeah, but that's the main difference apparently, is that a glockenspiel has like the tiles that you hit instead of being wood, like on a xylophone, it would be metal. I just thought that was a metal xylophone.
I did too. I thought a xylophone was metal, and I thought those wooden ones were like marimbas or something like that.
That's what I thought. Like I thought that's what in like band in school. I thought that's what we were told. I didn't recall anything differently. I certainly don't recall a xylophone-like instrument being referred to as a glockenspiel at all. Anyway,
I like that.
So there's that. I will endeavor to find out what I am actually thinking of.
Computer.
Oh wait, maybe this is.
What does klezmer music sound like?
Here's something I found on howstuffworks.com. Klezmer is one of those in quat. You know it when you hear it in quat. Music genres that has a nostalgic, old world sound.
Huh. You know
Did that say a quat? I was half listening because I'm trying to read this.
I was too. I'm not concerned with the computer. It's having a rough day.
I thought of
hold on. Sherlock Holmes. The Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey. Yeah, that music that they play.
That was like the first time for a lot of people hearing that type of music, and I think for Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes, the first one.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it works so well with that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why, but I'm pretty certain that is klezmer music. I think that style is klezmer. And
I would play it.
I will have to check and see.
With rights issues and whatever. I'm
yeah. We'll have to take a look and see what we can share about that.
I was going to say, so with Alexa having her issues.
Yeah.
And you calling her computer, I'm like, we have to do a spoof. There has to be an Alexa computer spoof of like Picard trying to talk to the computer.
Oh, at home
on the Enterprise, and it giving Alexa-esque crap replies.
Or Siri, did you want? Yeah, computer. Contact Lieutenant Riker.
There has to be a
contacting Starbucks. No, I do not want you to contact Starbucks. Computer. Contact Commander Riker.
It's like firing torpedoes on the
playing.
No.
Yeah,
I just said
playing Striker on
contact Starfleet. Yeah. Not blow up Risa. Yes. What the?
Initiating auto self-destruct. No. Computer, no. Computer, stop.
Oh, yeah, you're trying to put in
3,
your audio
2.
Code.
Computer, please stop.
You're trying to enter your code to stop the self-destruct.
Yeah, please enter your. Yeah, it is. Sorry, incorrect. Please enter again.
Oh my god. Yes.
I'm sorry, we're unable. Please use it. Call back with a touch tone device. Computer, we're all going to die.
So now you've got your next
nice.
Cartoon strip that you got
there. You
there.
go. Love it.
Your next anime.
Well, and I was thinking too, because in the Picard, right, it has him. He's not in Starfleet, right? So he's like at home, and so it's like they show him like kind of living like a rural life, but it's still advanced, but still. So it's like say that he's used to like the computer, and what he has at home is like Alexa. And so he keeps expecting it to be like computer, and she keeps saying, I'm not Starfleet's computer, you know. Why are you so stupid? I'm sorry.
She has a breakdown. I'm sorry.
I'm trying the best that I can.
All right, anyway.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then so yeah, I will try to find out. I see something kind of similar to what I'm thinking about. It looks like perhaps more involved. It's saying a self-playing orchestra with 17 instruments. It looks like it's in a large.
Is this the glockenspiel?
Sort of cabinet situation.
I wonder what glocken.
Not
what are you talking about?
Or definitely not a glockenspiel. What I thought a glockenspiel referred to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is still named at this point.
Yeah, I'm still trying to. Oh wait, let's see.
We're still workshopping a couple ideas on that.
I'm probably getting too close to the mic. We keep increasing our volume.
Randy,
you're toasting your mic occasionally there. Orchestrion is orchestrion is.
That's when horses play instruments.
No.
Equestrians.
Orc. Orc. It's when orcs play.
What did you just turn the Swedish chef over there?
Orchestrion is a generic name for a machine that plays music and is designed to sound like an orchestra or band. So this is not really what I'm talking about either.
I think
Except that
this is a musical instrument, Randy, over here. What is that?
Fuck you too.
What, damn, man, that's trying to play you a little bit of music, and you're being wow.
Yeah.
Can you hear this? Want me to turn it up?
What's the other thing? Oh, okay. So, ultimate.
Yeah.
What's your definition for ultimate?
Well, ultimate, I love this one because I'm assuming that you're also going to mention the word penultimate.
I am.
Yes, I love those words. So ultimate would be last, whereas penultimate would be the one before the last.
Right.
So if you were having the season finale, you would call that the ultimate season
but
ultimate
how does
episode, but the
everybody
penultimate.
use it? Everybody uses it as this is the ultimate. This is if I ever wanted to meet, this is the ultimate person. Like you're.
Oh, I thought that was an alternate meaning, not just the sole meaning. But you're taking it as if, like, kind of like how we say awesome, and awesome is we use awesome kind of incorrectly.
So I'm getting this from. Well, this is direct opposite, really. I'm getting this from BBC. What's it called? 8 out of 10 Cats Plays Countdown.
Oh, okay, so, yeah. Uh-huh. The game show that you were talking about, where they have actually, celebrities.
So their lexiconographer or a lexicologist or whatever, the person who is responsible for the dictionary, looking words up, knowing how things are spelled, and if something is a word or whatever.
Uh-huh.
She is actually on not just this spoofy type of the comedic version of the show, but she is actually on the real countdown as well.
Okay, so they have a celebrity version and a non-celebrity version.
She's also written like at least 14 different books and has a podcast and stuff about sort of etymology and history of words and origins, and so she has one specifically about words that are used improperly.
Oh man, the 1050s.
Words that are used improperly, commonly. And ultimate was one of them. And most people use it to be like
that is the best. Like the ultimate warrior is I am. There's nothing better than me.
My ultimate wish is like, this is the best thing that I could wish for. This is the top, the cream of the crop. You are the one I would want. And apparently it just means
final.
Last. Pretty much, it just means last. So it's
so
actually,
unless you save the best for last,
you are the ultimate person that I would like to meet.
Yeah,
it means you were the last person on my list if you want to meet.
I had the ultimate experience. That would like not even make sense, right?
Yeah, right.
I had an experience that was the last experience that I had. Well, of course, the last experience you had would be the last experience you had. So I'm not even sure what we're talking about. Right
penultimate. How is that used? When I've heard penultimate, it's been to express like this is the absolute pinnacle, like this is the best of the best.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's actually no, this is second to last.
Well, and that ties into our penumbra, right? Umbra and penumbra, and so it's ultimate and penultimate.
What is the when I was in high school, they had a vocabulary course that I took, and I think it was just called like college prep vocab. But
it's called English. It's called school.
No, this is
called ciphering.
So it went into the origins of words and breaking a word down into its individual pieces.
Right.
And so the prefixes and suffixes,
root words,
where those came from, what their meanings are and stuff. And so you can begin to pull larger, more complex such as words apart, such as Latin or whatever, like medical terms and things, and have a better understanding for what they are.
Yeah.
So when I went to college, I was expecting and searching for this type of thing and did not find it. All I could find was like remedial English. I went to a course. I signed up for a course and sat the first class of it, expecting it to be that, and it ended up being a remedial English course where it was like, this is and you use and in a sentence like he and she. It was like, okay, clearly this isn't what I was looking for. And I wasn't able to find it, and I don't know how to refer to it, to be able to search for exactly what I'm looking for there. Because I would like to study further into that and refresh my memory.
No, are you talking about just like etymology? Yeah, you're interested in etymology, and you're looking for a course that dealt specifically with etymology? That's what I kind of reduced what you were saying down to. But I'm not certain that's
not
accurate.
What this was called, but really, I think that's what it was.
I mean, the origin, the history of words, right? And we said that the other day. I think we kind of like what was the difference between entomology versus like lexiconology, and lexiconology was more about like actually making it into a volume, like a dictionary or something like that.
So etymology is the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. So this was more specifically just, which I am interested in, not very much so, but just more specifically, more vaguely perhaps. Which I know I keep throwing those words out and using them both at the same time, even though they're kind of opposite. But dealing with just the vocabulary aspect of it, not the historical changing of it over time, specifically. So I don't know if there's a separate term for that exactly. And we were talking about this the other day, and I had two terms. Was it just lexicon? And
I thought it was lexiconography.
I had a different one as well.
I thought it was entomology and lexiconography.
Yeah. And then we determined that lexiconography or lexicography or blah, blah, blah was largely in reference to like a dictionary.
Yeah, assembling a collection of words or a collection of terms or something.
Which makes sense because lexicon is...
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Anyway, so for ultimate and penultimate, and it's just insane that you've got those words, and in common usage, it can mean exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Its actual meaning is the exact opposite of how it's commonly used.
I really enjoyed the song Word Crimes by Weird Al. It was done to Blurred Lines, which was a very popular song. You'd know it if I heard it.
I know it.
Okay. Oh, I know it. Okay, so he does the spoof of it, and it's called Word Crimes, and it's all about like grammatical errors. And he talks about one of those. What was it that you were just talking about? Oh, about he was saying he makes reference to how people use literal to mean not literal,
literal instead of figurative.
Yeah, like they use it to mean figurative.
Literally.
Like I literally could not move one step further.
Yeah. But there's issues with that too. Like if you unpack that, like it doesn't make sense. It's useless to use figuratively the way literally is used. So it just doesn't work. Like it removes the dramatic effect that is. So it's almost like poetic license in the way it's used.
But the thing is, you're saying the word that is meant to specifically not do what I'm doing, I'm using it that way.
But it's kind of like
and I'm using it that way as an emphasis.
It's totally
and that's probably how it got introduced, because people was like, I mean, you're saying like
it's over dramatizing to add effect.
Right. I literally could not keep my eyes open 1 second longer.
So technically it is absolutely incorrect.
Absolutely.
But poetically it is emphatically.
But that would be fine if people understood that. But people don't understand it, and they use it in a way that they think means.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem that's the argument that you can say about slang, and like you say, well, words change, right? And it's how people use the words, and it's about communication. But when it comes down to like, I really need to write this down and I need it to be clear about what it is, then there needs to be a way to actually, like, a triple negative doesn't work. I'm sorry if you use it, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
Why? What's wrong with the triple negative? Well, it's, I mean, other than being redundant.
Right, but did you mean it to be? Did you mean all of those negatives? Did you only mean 2 of those negatives? It gets a little complicated.
Was that a stutter? Like, I want to make sure we're on the same page.
And it's like, well, sometimes the words actually have to mean something, right? Somewhere, somehow. So otherwise, we're just grunting at each other.
There was an episode of Graham Norton show with Miriam Margolyes, who recently passed away, I believe, which is very sad because she was a treasure. Let me make sure I've got the name right. Oh yeah. And Will.i.am.
Oh yeah,
we're on, and Will.i.am kept trying to tell a story, and he was saying things like,
"Did they interrupt his English?"
Yeah, which we do all the time, of saying, like, I was like.
Oh yeah, like.
and just all the different stuff that we throw into our sentence while we're trying to think of stuff. That was like the first thing they teach you in speech class is to
stop using using the verbal crutches.
Yeah. Don't say like, don't say that. Because you don't realize how, and I know I'm using it all the time and it's getting on my nerves, but it's so ingrained that you really have to like concentrate and try to.
But like people don't understand that like, you don't know like how hard it can be to not like use words like.
So he kept saying, trying to tell a story and saying, I was like, and it was like, and she was like, no, you weren't. No, it wasn't.
It wasn't
you
like,
like.
You were. Is.
And she was having a problem with him saying like.
Yeah.
Like using that phrase. I was like, no, you weren't like. But anyway, so I think that's the thing. But at the same time, if people are doing that for real, like, that's the
problem is with slang, though, like, right? I mean, you know, is the word